I'm hungry.
Good for you.
And this is Sibling Rivalry. Katniss is back in The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, the sequel to the big blockbuster hit several years ago. And what do we think of it? Loved it.
Hated it.
Really?
No, actually, I really loved it.
Yeah, it's good. The funny thing about this movie is that it is a big retread of the first film. You got Katniss being submitted again to the Hunger Games, and a lot of the same. Peeta is back in the Hunger Games. They have to go. They have to survive. They have to find strategies. They have to play celebrities once again. So you would think that this movie would be really tired and really sucky, but they throw in so many good twists and turns and new characters, and the ending actually does evolve.
And monkeys?
Okay,
monkeys?
the monkeys were not very good, but the ending does in fact evolve to a sequel that you really, really want to see. For me, what I really liked about it is that, because it is such a retread that they have to go back, what they do in this one that I thought was clever was that it's them dealing with the celebrity of after going through the famous event. And I think that is a real issue because there's so many people, whether child stars or big actors that do something and they have that celebrity, but that wasn't mean after that the celebrity ever really leave.
And the lie about keeping up appearances.
Well, that's where it gets even better, because here the celebrity is actually a matter of life and death, which is always so stupid, but at the same time, I think any politician can vouch for that.
Yeah, well, and lying and keeping up good PR is any celebrity's way to survive, and basically keep themselves in good standing with the public, let's be honest here. But yeah, in this case, it literally does mean life and death.
Yeah, and what's good about it, too, is that they deal with how much you have to sacrifice to that celebrity and how much you want to keep your humanity. You have Katniss trying to be kind to her fellow people, and breaking characters, saying that no, this is a tragedy, and we will survive and we will be strong, and that's not keeping up well with the people who are in charge, and that's getting him angry. So it's her battling what she can do with the celebrity, what she can't do, the total power she has and the total lack of power she has, and her real inability to keep up the appearance, which really ties in surprisingly really smartly, because you just think, oh, come on, she can do this better, or can't, or when they have the twist in there, what's the point of this twist? But they do actually tie in, and we'll go more into the end of the spoiler corner. So yeah, I like, even though it was going back in the Hunger Games, it feels like it doesn't happen till halfway through, where in the first one, I think like maybe the end of the first act it happened. So I like that they dive so much into the celebrity, into how harsh it is, and fix a lot of problems with the first one. I can see things!
Yes, tripods, steady cams, invest. Like oh my god. You know what? Shaky cam has done more in my lifetime to ruin film as I know it. Probably even more than CGI now. I feel like it's just like, it literally is the crutch of the hack director. Now, every time I see shaky cam now, sometimes it's used effectively, but a lot of times, like Man of Steel is a great example. The first Hunger Games, the shaky cam in that. Les Mis was a mixed bag. I thought it was overused there. It's just like, whenever I see it now, I'm just like, oh, come on. It is such a cliche. It's like, I want to give you a sense of immediacy.
My first... For whatever reason, shaky cam doesn't bother me as much, particularly in action scene. And in the first Hunger Games, they obviously want to get the PG-13 rating, which I don't know if... It's a young adult book, so it kind of makes sense. So you have to when little kids in the first film are getting slaughtered, yeah, I understand it.
I get
but,
that.
No,
Scenes
but
where
the
nothing's
rest,
happening.
The rest, yes, that was ridiculous, and they don't do it here.
Same thing like Man of Steel, the introduction to that, where you're just looking at like members of the Kryptonian Council there, and it's like, and there's no point. It is a cheap tool.
The first Hunger Games especially.
Because you
I felt
don't
really
know
abused it,
how to basically let your cinematographer do their darn job.
So yeah, but I mean, apart from that, it seems like a lot of problems with the first one are made better here. And you read the second book, and you were saying you weren't really looking forward to the movie because you thought it was so
did not.
weak.
And the reviews, like, I try not to really read too much into reviews, so I was looking up the reviews because I really didn't want to see this. The second book was my least favorite. For all the reasons you had mentioned, it just is the same thing over again. It's a retread. They go into the Hunger Games again. It was not a bad book, but it's the one that I had remembered the least.
It's the Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah, it is the Chamber of Secrets of the series. It is just like, oh yeah, I kind of just did all that stuff again, and you don't really remember what happened, and, you know, and particularly with sending her back in the Hunger Games, in the book, I was skipping pages left because I'm just like, been there, done that, seen this. This was the whole first book. So that's why I was blown away when I loved this movie, because I'm wow, this was my least favorite of the books, but I love this movie so much better than the first one, and it's because it fixed a lot of the problems in the book. The love triangle in the book is not particularly strong. Just stop with love triangles, writers. Unless you really know how to do a love triangle. You know what, come here, we're going to have a moment. Unless you really know how to do a love triangle right, just don't do it. Don't. It's okay. You can have two people in love. You can have like two people in love and have another like best friend.
There's other
you can even have
elements.
some jealousy.
There's other elements of drama that you can do.
But don't do it.
Love, I don't think writers understand, is actually an interesting thing just between two people.
Yeah.
The third one...
real life
okay.
Getting in the middle of it.
Yeah, it's okay. That you can write that. And you can make it interesting, because it's pretty interesting in real life, too.
So just let's... Yeah, just enough with the love triangle.
Love triangle, you had a good one. Actually, the irony is that I didn't mind it that much in this.
No, that's because in the book, the love triangle was more prominent, and in this movie, it's not. I swear to God, it's like they were just like, and she likes Gale, Gale gets whipped, we're done with that.
I will say this, that the chemistry between her and the Gale character is totally non-existent in this movie.
There's
but they
chemistry.
but they dwell so little on it, and
that you don't care.
Yeah, I think it is
a
sort
plus.
I think you do sort of go, well, yeah, we know.
And I'm sure there's probably some Team Gale, Team PETA group out there who's read the book that's like, I don't think that's fair. I liked Gale. I was like, who cares?
Yeah, no.
It's like nobody. We know where this story is going.
Yeah, so
and
why?
Even reading the book where I think Susan Collins tried to throw in a red herring here or there to make you wonder, I still knew where this story was going. So, the less love triangle, the better. The Hunger Games portion, I swear, was cut back in the movie here.
It feels
and
like it was, but for...
So much better for that, because I hated the Hunger Games portion. I shouldn't say hated.
It's the most boring part, though.
There were some twists they threw in the book that were good. The Mockingjays were really, really good. There's like a poison gas that's good. The monkeys sucked.
The idea of the clock, I think, is interesting.
Yeah, but
I mean, we won't go too much into that.
It just was a lot of filler, and there are some interesting twists there, but the movie rushes through them to its advantage. And because it's not the interesting part, because we've been there, done that. And the interesting part of the book, for me, was the whole first half of that book, is what I remembered and what I really liked. It was like, okay, so now you have to strategize, but the game is different. And the whole playing up her character is now revolutionary, and the people that help her out doing that, and the whole thing, like, Haymitch is involved, is like, well, promise me that you'll let PETA survive, and that,
yeah,
like
the twist they do with that
so
is
many
really good,
twists.
and the drama, and
the best scene in the book, though, was that first scene where she walks in and President Snow is there. And if you read it in the book, it's chilling, just creepy. And Donald Sutherland and the way they shot it was so perfect. Like, I literally was just getting goosebumps. It's like, like, evil Santa Claus, no! And the fact that I could get those same chills that I did reading the book, fantastic direction, fantastic acting.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence and Donald Sutherland in that scene, so perfect.
And I'll also vouch for I'm forgetting his name. I apologize, but Bridge to Terabithia boy. I was really, because when I saw Bridge to Terabithia, I saw him in a few other movies. I said, this is a good child actor. Even when he's in crap, he is good, and I hope he goes on to something. And he's going on to this, and I think it's a good role for him. Cause
this one and the next one, I think, are going to give him real props. The first one does not do much justice to him, and it's not on him.
Okay, and I haven't read the book, but I found him very likable and interesting in the first one.
I found him likable and interesting. There's not much for his character to chew on. This one, there's more for him to chew on as an actor, as far as the plot goes.
I think so much is the acting, because this so easily could have been a bland, forgettable, he could have been Gale number 2, you know, but instead they make him so interesting, and so much of that is his acting, and I think he's really talented. I'm glad he's gone to this. And again, Jennifer Lawrence, again, just... really nails it, and you're just so interested in what she's doing, and it's not something along the lines of, oh, come on, why doesn't she just do this? This is obvious, don't just play the game or whatever. They show so well why it's so hard for anyone to do this.
And let's think about, like, because I've loved all of her work, and I really, really love Jennifer Lawrence as an actor and a person, and, for all of the great work she's done in Silver Linings Playbook, and let's think really hard about what this role requires. You're a person who has just killed people, gotten out of it alive, is now a celebrity, possibly revolutionary, now has been asked by the president to basically to spare your family and lives of the person you really like, to lie, to pretend that you're in love with this other kid, to run around and make these speeches, where you're totally supporting the regime, while at the same time you have to portray the fact that deep down inside you hate this regime, that you're just reading it off a cue card, but you have to just convince it just enough because you're also trying to protect your own... There are like 14 different things going on in this one role.
Well, and what I find so interesting, and I think I bring this up in the Bum Review too, which... in a way, and this is just pure sort of fun comparison, is that Jennifer Lawrence herself, this girl is literally on fire, and and she's this hot celebrity, and part of the reason is that she is so likable, and she does not, for the most part, do that typical Hollywood bullshit where she
seems very you can never judge for sure.
Yeah, but she seems very genuine, which is why it's so funny watching this movie where she has to play this stuff and she doesn't understand why, and she's just trying to do good things. And you almost see that going on in real life as well, in a very different way, but you see it going on. And I'm wondering if that reflects in the role at all.
The scenes, it could be. The scenes where she's reading the pre-rehearsed speeches are my favorite because you can see it in her face, like 14 different emotions of just like, I hate reading this crap. I have to read this crap to save my family. At the same time, she's looking down at this crowd going, I'm sorry for you. I feel for you. This isn't the real me, but I have to convince the president this is the real me. It's like...
What
it's
I like...
crazy. It's the sort of role that could drive a person insane trying to portray.
What I like about the way they look at celebrity in this as well, even though, of course, it's pushed to an extreme, is that so often, again, TMZ and all that bullshit, so often stuff is going on behind the scenes with celebrities, politics, all this stuff, so much is going on behind the scenes, and the average viewer watching it, oh, well, I know what's going on. Oh, well, the surface, that's exactly what it is. And so often it's not. And this shows so well just the damaging, just what terrible things can happen if you just rely on only what you see in the celebrity and act like you know everything. And so often you don't.
This is where both the film and the book really, really succeeds. It succeeds as a commentary on the cult of celebrity and on our need as a people, both on a political level and for entertainment, that need to just partake in that cult. The politics need it to distract the people. It's really about the cult of distraction. this entire series the whole way through. The cult of distraction and how it's used by evil people to manipulate the masses, TMZ, and also about how some people, the capital in particular, get sucked into it, and how it adversely affects the rest of us. How many poor people are out there who want to be a celebrity? How many people have risen from the ranks, from poverty, to become a celebrity, only to die of a drug overdose or something because it ends up just messing them up? This series, more than anything, is, I think, more about that. And that's where the book succeeds, and that's where the film succeeds. When it gets to the Hunger Games part,
yeah, that's actually the weakest
who gives a shit?
You feel like you have to have that for the action, for the younger crowd, for the people that want the violence. But I like that it's not entirely glorified.
Yeah.
And it's
all
made
the
very
best scenes,
ugly.
yeah.
But what I like is that rather than getting into it because it's violent, you get into it because you want to see people you like get through it.
Which is why the lack of violence doesn't bother me, because it's not about that.
Yeah.
The third book gets a little more into that, but to me it's always been more about the cult of celebrity. So the Hunger Games is almost like the tool that I think the author is using to sort of get into that. There's not to say there isn't stuff about violence and war and revolutions as well, but to me it's still focused, it still even works in and around that, because it's obvious they're building her up as, she's going to be a revolutionary, so.
And it's one of the few times where there's, the ending is definitely a to be continued, but it's a very welcome to be continued. And I'm actually seeing it, I saw the first Hunger Games, I'm like, okay, maybe I can see the second one if it comes out, whatever. It's like, at the end of this one, I'm like, I can't wait to see the third one.
If you keep the same team.
Oh my god.
Yeah, keep the same team.
I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in this story. It ends on such a perfect note. And I remember when we were watching it, we were both sort of like, and cut, and it cuts at
within
just the
3
right
seconds,
moment.
yeah.
And it has this perfect symbol to show to get you just jacked up for the next one. You're just like, holy shit.
My test of a truly good movie, my test of a really, truly well-directed film, is when it cuts. If you can predict the moment it's going to cut in a good way, like you're just like, and cut, because this is just too perfect. Just
like Rocky,
do it. Yeah, like Rocky,
Empire Strikes Back.
Empire Strikes Back, Godfather, you look at those movies and it's like, and cut, and it does, and it's like perfect. And this did the same thing. I was just watching and I was like, and cut. And within 3 seconds it was like, boom, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, no, so we really enjoyed it.
Surprisingly well-made film.
Yeah, it really surprised me too. So, I guess the only thing I could think, and you could probably hear from us talking, is that if you haven't read the books and you're looking for something completely different, there is definitely retread in there, but I would definitely argue that the twists and turns and the characters, good characters in this, much more interesting than the first one. Elizabeth Banks, even as the woman, it's like getting drawn into it too, and even in her own way, like she's an interesting character.
You know what? Think of it as a reboot.
Yeah.
Watch it. Watch it. It's just like, you know what? We're sorry for part 1. Here's a reboot. And
if you
look at it like that,
I
like part one too, but there were some mistakes. It's like, part 1 isn't perfect. Take 2. Let's take 2. Let's reboot it. Here we go. If you look at it kind of like that, I think it actually works much better. Because it does get redundant, but
so we greatly enjoyed it.
I think the best thing I can say is I think Harv Bennett was talking about the Star Trek films and how Star Trek 1 was a bomb, the slow motion picture, and I think he was saying he knew that
it wasn't a bomb, it was a critical bomb.
It was a critical bomb, yeah. The film did well enough because it was Star Trek, but it was a critical bomb and they were looking to fix that. So when Wrath of Khan came out, he was reading the reviews, he's like, I knew we had hit it when the critics were saying, now that's more like it. And that's really the best thing I can say. This is more like it. They nailed it this time. So.
I hope it carries over into 3 because I
do too.
It gets me excited for the third one. So, and that's exactly what this movie's supposed to do, and it's just a good flick. So, that's all we got, man.
Go see it.
Stay hungry.
For Thanksgiving. Is that, it is interesting that they released Hunger Games on Thanksgiving, isn't it? Oh,
It's a good point. This movie's awful.